that, I want to show you what we're going to be building. So for this project, we're going to be building an Instagram clone, and it looks pretty much just like Instagram. So if we click on a post, we'll be able to follow, we'll be able to unfollow, we'll be able to edit profiles, we'll be able to change our profile image. We're going to be resizing images from scratch using the intervention library. You're also able to add a new post, of course. You can write your own captions, choose your image. We're also able to log out and have users and authentication. We're able to register users, including their username. Just about everything that Instagram can do, we're going to be able to do, and I'm going to show you how to do everything 100% from scratch. So this is going to be a full-fledged course. There are no slides here. We're going full on board coding with zero breaks. We are going straight through learning every single minute. So if you stick with me, I promise you, I'll make it worth your while, and you're going to learn a ton about Laravel. So what is Laravel? Well, if you're unfamiliar, Laravel is the fastest growing open source PHP framework to date. As a matter of fact, it is the #1 framework in GitHub, and it has allowed the community to by far write some of the best PHP applications to date. It is extremely easy on newcomers, but it is extremely powerful. You can certainly do anything from a small project to a huge enterprise project, and it has a fantastic community behind it. Now, throughout this course, I am assuming that you have general knowledge about PHP and how to set up an environment for you. I'm just going to run you through the very quick installation steps to actually install Laravel. So with all of that, let's just get right to it. We have a lot to cover and we don't have any time to waste. So how do we install Laravel? Well, the easiest way to install Laravel is using the Laravel installer. So I'm going to jump back to my terminal. And now in my terminal, the first thing you need to make sure is that you have Composer. Composer is a PHP dependency package manager that you're going to need. So Composer PHP package manager. We can do a quick Google search for it, and there it is. So getcomposer.org. So if you visit the Getting Started, I recommend you go ahead and follow the instructions to install it globally. To actually install it, all you actually need to do is run this command right here in your terminal, and then just make sure that you follow the steps to install it globally. So those are the steps. Once it is installed, you should be able to run Composer, and you should be able to get something like this. So if you did everything correct, you now have Composer. What else are we going to need to make sure that we have? The next thing is we need to make sure that we have node.js, and that is nodejs.org. Now, Node.js is made for every single operating system. You can simply just go to the download section here, and there you go. We have Windows, we have Mac, we have Source. You could do just about anything. Once you have Node installed, Node also installs NPM. And NPM is actually the JavaScript counterpart to Composer. So we should be able to run node-v and get a version number, and npm-v and also get a version number. So with that, the last thing we need is that Laravel installer. So if we go into documentation and we scroll down to installing Laravel, now that we have Composer, we can run this command. We can run composer global require Laravel/installer. What that's going to allow us to do is be able to run something like Laravel. Now, if you run Laravel and this doesn't come up even though you ran Composer, it means that you don't have your composer.bin in your path directory. So if you echo out path like so, you should have Composer somewhere in here. In my case, it is /users/victor.composer vendor bin. Do a quick Google search on how to add Composer to your path, and you'll find it just for your system. Now, this does vary from system to system, so it's not really worth showing you how to do it one time. Once you have that done, you should have Laravel. So let's jump right to it now that we are ready. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show you what we are currently working with. Let's go to instagram.com/freecodecamp. So here we see what we are trying to replicate. So we're going to be going back and forth to this to get exactly what we want out of our page. So first and foremost, I'm going to start with this header up here. So now let's create a new Laravel project. I will say Laravel new free code gram. That's what our project name is going to be. Let's let it do its thing. And there we go. So we can cd right into free code gram, and we are in our project. I will open this up in PHP Storm. All right, and there we go. Now at first glance, when we open our project, there are a lot of files here. Now the first thing I want to let you know is don't worry about the fact that there are so many files and directories and all of this. Throughout the project, we're going to be touching up on a couple of these, and to be honest, over time, this becomes second nature to you and you'll know exactly where to find everything. But just don't let that overwhelm you. The first thing I do want to show you though is, of course, we have Composer. But there is this composer.json file that I've spoken about. And this file is the file that would basically hold your project's assets. What I mean by asset, of course, is we do have Composer, which is going to be our dependency manager, but Composer itself needs instructions, and that's what this file is for. Let me go ahead and close these extra warnings that I'm getting here. So we have our file, and a lot of this stuff you'll never probably touch. Now we will talk about how to add things to require and things like that. Don't worry about any of that. But just know that whenever I talk about the composer.json file, it's right here, right at the root directory. Great. So now the first thing that I want to show you is I want to jump back to the terminal, and let me clear this up. So the very first thing I want to show you is Artisan. Artisan is a command line tool that ships with Laravel that allows you to do a ton of different things with your application. As a matter of fact, you can interact with your entire Laravel application through Artisan using something called Tinker. We'll get to that. But what I want you to notice is throughout the course, you'll see the exact directory that I'm running any command right up here. So always make sure that you are in the correct directory. So inside your actual project directory, I'm going to run PHP Artisan. And this is going to output a bunch of different commands that are at your disposal. Now let's go back all the way to the top right here where it says available commands. And we can consider these the root level commands that you have. So these commands you only run with PHP Artisan. After that, there are basically namespaced commands that you can run, like in the app namespace, you have app:name, auth::clear resets, and so on and so forth. Now, it may seem super overwhelming that there is all this stuff here at your disposal, but no worries again.